My name is Mark Trahant. I'm the editorial page editor of the Seattle Post-Intelligencer and a member of the Native American Journalists Association. Most school kids learn about government in the context of city, county, state, and federal. And of course, tribal governments are not part of that at all. Mr. President, you've been a governor and a president, so you have a unique experience looking at it from two directions. What do you think tribal sovereignty means in the 21st century, and how do we resolve conflicts between tribes and the federal and state governments?
Yeah. Tribal sovereignty means that it's sovereign. I mean, you've been given sovereignty, and you're viewed as a sovereign entity.
Okay.
And therefore, the relationship between the federal government and tribes is one between sovereign entities.
Yes.
Is it their duty to argue with us to stop being in the dishonor? Did Noble Drawley not set this order up 102 years ago?
Yes.
Right? Did not the rights of a child, 59, tell these people to declare their nationality?
Yes.
In 1959, the United Nations General Assembly adopted the Declaration on the Rights of the Child. They include the child's right to equality without distinction on account of race, religion or national origin, and the right to special protection for the child's physical, mental and social development.
How about treaty enforcement, right, with the Clinton?
Yeah.
No country has been a friend of the United States longer than Morocco. You were the first nation to recognize us back in 1777. But we're not satisfied with simply having a friendship that is long-standing. We want one that is dynamic, growing, looking toward the future.
Then Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 49.
We stand today at the threshold of a great event, both in the life of the United Nations and in the life of mankind. This Universal Declaration of Human Rights may well become the international Magna Carta of all men everywhere. We hope its proclamation by the General Assembly will be an event comparable to the proclamation of the Declaration of the Rights of Man by the French people in 1789.
On the 4th of March, 1789, the United States Constitution went into effect.
The adoption of the Bill of Rights by the people of the United States and the adoption of comparable declarations at different times in other countries.
And now when Obama went to Hikuta, he even told the people that the American Constitution comes from Muslim law.
Islam has always been a part of America's story. Let there be no doubt, Islam is a part of America.
Even Obama right now, holding a picture of Noble Drawley. What do these people want? This is what they want. They want sacrificial lambs, and the world knows that. You know, who's going to lay on the railroad tracks to prove to us what we should honor on our own?
Right.
When every man, every woman, and every child must confess their own, we're always looking for someone else to confess what we are obligated to confess.
I don't know this gentleman. I haven't made any contracts with the Public Defender's Office. I don't know what that was an attempt to do, but he does not have the authority to speak for me.
We're always looking for someone else to confess what we are obligated to confess.
So I would appreciate it if any non-identified parties determining to act on my behalf.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's like the Jesus Christ syndrome almost.
How come somebody else didn't make my peanut butter sandwich? Yeah. You know, like Mr. Ryan cook us a dinner, and we sit around debating about dessert. Dinner getting cold, ain't nobody stuck a fork yet.
Right,
and this
right,
is pretty
right.
much what we do.
So true.
Because the stuff is not secret. As a matter of fact, wait. That Dungy case, just pull it out just for a second. Yeah, because we're on camera.
Yeah.
This is Regan from New York.
Yeah, this is magic. I was surprised to see her out here.
I want you. I'm gonna hold this.
Okay.
So you don't have to hold that. It ain't going nowhere.
All right.
Now I'm gonna hold this.
What you want me to read?
Now
I know about
this
the
is
Taj always.
this is 1855. Abraham Lincoln. This is 5 years before he held the office of the United States Corporation. 5 years. And this is a slander case. But let's go past this. This is a brother who married Joseph Spencer's sister. His name is William Dungy.
Okay.
This is the summation of the case, Abraham Lincoln, that won the case. Now, you read it, Cherie. Read this paragraph and read here.
Okay. My client is
Can
not.
you say loud because you're on TV?
Okay. My client is not Negro. Though it is a crime to be a Negro, no crime to be born with a black skin. Though is it a crime to be a Negro, no crime to be born with a black skin. But my client is not a Negro.
Lockport police gave us this mugshot. This is 19-year-old Shamir Allen. He's a suspect in several shootings in the city. We looked further on the mugshot and found next to the line labeled complexion that Allen is listed as a Negro. Next to Negro, it reads DA. According to Lockport police, this means dark. So Shamir Allen, a 19-year-old suspect, is listed as a dark Negro in the Lockport police database.
When you showed this to me, I thought this was something that happened many, many years ago. For African Americans to be described today as a Negro, and I think it's certainly an insult to be described in terms of a black, dark Negro.
The word Negro was used mostly in the slave days, and according to Doyle, is rarely, if ever, used in modern-day conversation. We questioned Lockport Police Chief Larry Eggert about the department's usage of the word. He's been with the department 34 years. For the past 6 years, he's led the department.
Why are police officers within the Lockport Police Department using terms such as dark and light Negro to describe black suspects?
Why are they doing it? Because it's in the drop-down menu.
Aren't police officers aware that that type of terminology can be offensive to blacks?
I didn't know it until I talked to you just now. I don't ever use that term, but I didn't think it was an offensive term regardless.
Eggert's referring to a specific type of computer software that officers use to list the complexion of suspects. When officers go to the complexion tab, there are about 12 options to choose from, and among them, descriptions such as light, medium, and dark are listed, in addition to light Negro and dark Negro.
I think that the Lockport Police Department must have been in a time warp. They failed to see that time had changed.
We're living in a time warp?
Lockport Police.
Well, I disagree with that. This is a program that's 20-some years old, hasn't been updated. Is it our fault? Well, sure it is, but we're certainly not living in a time warp. We're very sensitive to all the issues in our community, including racial issues.
And I want them to know that as an African American in 2014, that it is not acceptable for them to use dark or to distinguish color, but use the terms that we are using and familiar with today.
It's going to be removed. And we won't use it again because now we know that there are people in the community, a significant number of people apparently, who are offended by this word.
And Chief Larry Eggert says some, not all of his officers, use the terms light and dark Negro. Eggert says Negro will be removed from the department's database today, if not later this week. Lockport police say they'll do some diversity training in the next couple of weeks to explain to officers why the word Negro is not acceptable to use. And in the future, all suspects, along with their race, will be listed with a light, medium, or dark complexion.
His skin may not be as white as ours, but I say he is not a Negro, though he may be a Moor.
Keep on reading.
Okay. Mr. Lincoln, interrupted Judge Davis, scarcely able to restrain a smile. You mean a Moor. M-O-O-R, not Moore, M-O-O-R-E. Well, Your Honor, Moor, not Clifton H. Moore, replied Mr. Lincoln, with a sweep of his long arm toward the table where Moore and I sat. So he's saying with a sweep, okay. I say my client may be a Moor, M-O-O-R, but he is not a Negro. Abraham Lincoln.
So now, is this new argument?
To this point, you know, clearly Don King's saying some type of a story where he's paraphrasing some story. Everyone in the background was sort of smiling. Maybe it was a comical story. I have no idea. But he slips and says the N-word. I mean,
no, but he says
Negro.
Negro is unacceptable in 2016, John.
Look, I'm
Joseph.
Joe,
I'm sorry.
right.
I'm bad. And
John's always
you
acceptable.
did not do it.
John's a
yes.
great name.
John is
but
better,
look,
far better.
He's telling a story. He's speaking to an audience. He might be giving an example of what happened back in a worse era. I have no idea. We're taking it without.
He's talking about Michael Jackson.
We're taking this story without any context, and it was a clear slip of the tongue. He clearly didn't mean it.
So
he clearly
please
corrected
tell me
himself
that you
right after he said
understand
it.
that using Negro in 2016 is also unacceptable. So please tell me that you understand that using Negro in 2016 is also unexactable.
I mean, have you not listened to music where other African Americans use
Please
language
don't do that to me.
far
Please don't do
worse
that to
than
me
this?
today.
I mean,
Please don't do that
what I am
to me
going to do
today.
is that you can't say Don King is saying a word that is suddenly now not acceptable.
What I'm
it's
saying
not a word
to
that I
you-
would use, but
what I'm
it's
saying to
perhaps
you
a word that Don King would
is
use.
this trivializes your candidate's black outreach.
Is it a new issue?
No, it's not.
Scholars know this. How come they don't bring it up? They're called moriscos or conversos. And what we have happened to us, we've been caught between the conversos and those who were being attacked, like Nat Turner or others, Harriet Tubman, who was standing for the principle of the people, and then those who were selling the people out. That's what we're suffering right now. And so not only had the Europeans been suppressing the history, so has so-called black leaders. And also you'll see in here the etymology of black. So let's look at the etymology of black. So to show you the operations of the conversos, there's the etymology of black. Read that.
Black. The word black is an adjective and is of Middle English origin. Linguistically and grammatically, Middle English places the word black between the years 1100 to 1500. As a means of measuring the passage of time, this equates to the timeless of the 12th to the 16th centuries. Scholars and other literate people who possess the capacity to read associate the Middle English linguistic timeline by way of the Julian calendar in the Common Era. In the history of European culture, the period of time is considered the High Middle Ages and is also called the Age of Cistercians.
The Cistercians are still with us. In Iowa, they are now called Trappist, a reform of the Cistercian order. And in eastern Iowa, there is a community of monks, an abbey at New Mellery, and a community of nuns at Our Lady of the Mississippi.
The Cistercians were founded in Citeaux, France in the late 11th century, when a small group of monks broke away from an earlier monastic community because they felt it was not following the rule of St. Benedict closely enough. Berman's book on medieval agriculture challenges the preconceived notions many historians had about how the early Cistercians not only spread but also prospered in the process. The Cistercians did not pioneer the wilderness as many once thought. They bought the land that was already cleared, they inhabited old hermitages, and they used their monastic tithe exemptions to prosper. The Cistercians did not pioneer the wilderness as many once thought. They bought the land that was already cleared, they inhabited old hermitages, and they used their monastic tithe exemptions to prosper. The Cistercian revival of the rule of St. Benedict's idea of a simple life full of manual labor, coupled with an increasing number of lay brothers and lay sisters on their granges, helped the Cistercians not only have enough to be self-sufficient, but also in abundance to sell in urban markets. Cistercians acquired land that was almost entirely previously cultivated. Cistercians acquired land that was almost entirely previously cultivated. Cistercians acquired land that was almost entirely previously cultivated.
The etymology of the English word black is Middle English, and Middle English is derived from the Old English word black, B-L-A-C. Both of these English words, black, B-L-A-C-K, and B-L-A-C, are derived from bill, is that how you say it?
Bill.
Bill, B-H-E-L. The origin and true meaning of the word bill is to shine, to flash, burn, shining white in various bright colors. One, beluga, from Russian, how do you say that? Belye. White. Philarope? How do you say? Philarope. From Greek. Philastros, having a white spot.
All right. And these are the derivatives. Read the derivatives.
The derivatives, you want me to start?
These are important derivatives, yes.
Start from here?
Yes.
Bill is a suffix variant of Bilhu. So that's B-H-E-L-W-O. Blue, derived from Old English blue, B-L-E-U, or B-L-U-E, derived from Germanic blay wise, blue. Bill has various extended Germanic forms such as bleach, derived from Old English blackjan. Is that how you say that? Okay. Which means to make white. Bleak, from Old Norse.
Go ahead.
Bleaker,
Yeah.
which means shining white, and is derived from Germanic blackaz, B-L-A-I-K-A-Z, which means shining white, etc. Important derivatives of bill are blue, bleach, bleak, blaze, blemish, blind, blend, blonde, blank, blanket, blush, black, flagrant, and flame.
Now, the question is, logically on the floor, what's that have to do with African identity?
Not a
and stop calling yourself black. Black is an adjective, not a noun. You are a noun. Black is a description, okay? Stop with the Black Lives Matter, okay? All lives matter. Their lives matter, okay? Because according to the Constitution, which none of y'all Negroes read, the Constitution states that you are 3/5 of a human being when you're calling yourself black. So you're going to continue to call yourself black, then your black ass going to be shot down like a dog in the street because you have now become a color code. Look up color code. Every time you subscribe to black and African American, you're 3/5 of a human being, and they can do whatever you want. If you have your birth certificate and your social security linked to them, you are their property. You are considered corporate ward state.
What does it have to do with the colors that our people have been claiming to debate?
Nothing at all. Nothing.
Right. Now, all scholars know this. So now you already understand that you have co-interpretatives amongst you, don't you? Because they're counting on their followers not being able to read, which is often said about such persons. Don't worry about their little pickaninnies. They will never compete. They can't read.
Right. Just giving you another opportunity.
Let's spin, Pat.
Wow.
L.
Yeah, 4 L's. Pick that up, turn it over. Lay it down right over that London trip down there. Wow, okay.
Nice solve.
Oh, well, that'd be a good idea, yeah.
Mythological hero Achilles.
Can't accept that.
Okay.
Shelby.
I'll solve.
Yeah.
Mythological hero Achilles.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, boy. Well, Boy, when it comes to names, you have to just go with the name. And even though the letters are up there, because you have to solve it, which is what you did. You have to say it. And you said it. You get $1,000, which is a house minimum. So you have $1,000.
Because they're counting on their followers not being able to read, which is often said about such persons. Don't worry about their little pickaninnies. They will never compete. They can't read.
But we'll just wipe that clean from...
What are they talking about? We have not taught them etymology in their early school period, which handicaps them for life. So now what it does, it makes them subject to both Europeans and their what? Minions. And so they have been trained to substitute etymology, which is the science and the discipline that teaches the history, the true meaning, and the morphology, and the transfer of words, distinguished from Ebonics, which is designed to justify ignorance.
Now, Taj, just a quick question.
Yeah.
What would you say about those who downplay what you're saying right now? And they say crazy things like,
put it like this,
Moors are playing semantics.
They're caught.
But then when they get it,
ask that same person about the conference and the conferences on semantics that is had by world scholars every year.
The topic really is leaving a footprint in big organizations that was very obvious when listening to the keynote speakers. So you really see that like big organizations embracing semantic technologies have made their experiences and have proven successful with implementing them. So it's not so much about proving an audience why semantic technologies are important. It's rather now that we're at a point that we show what we've already done in various industries.
And the conference on semantics, whereas connotative linguistics was introduced into our communities to create this paradigm that we're talking about. Why don't they mention that?
Well, a Chicago teacher is targeting bad grammar.
But his emphasis on targeting African Americans is causing a backlash. Some might be offended by his mission, but as our Mark Saxemar tells us, this educator argues speaking correctly isn't about selling out. In his special report, he says it's about gaining clout.
Ask or ask. Woo! I need all of you right now on the count of 3 to say ask. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Ask. Very good.
Gerard McClendon is giving these high schoolers at Aquinas Academy in Palos Hills an English lesson they've never ever had.
The k sound comes at the end. The S sound comes in the middle. But what do people say? Axe. Yes. I say it. All right. But you know now.
But can axe really be wrong? They hear it all the time.
He asked me what could he do. A month before he asked to ring back. I don't know how to say act.
Yes, you can. Say as.
As.
And put K on. There we go. Say
McClendon makes it clear. It's even the title of his book, Axe or Ask, the African American Guide to Better English.
It is semantics, and they're talking semantics.
Right.
And connotative linguistics, and trying to justify it because they're caught.
Absolutely.
Because they're claiming to be scholars, and they got black books that are backed up by the corporations, and others got 501c3 skull and bones agreements.
Settled in. Okay,
Shirley
I'm gonna tell you right
Plantation.
now, 1613, that means this is originally one of the ones of the modern Europeans called Slavics that were brought here by the British. Because in 1643, they start complaining.
Look, it's a 501c3.
And others got 501c3 skull and bones agreements.
Managed by the Shirley Plantation Foundation, 501c3. Open 9:30 to 4:30. So like I said, this is...
now it's a 501.
Yeah, now it is. But all of that is
And it's the family.
plantation, family owned.
And of course, this information catches them, and they've had the alluring public funding them, giving them black certificates and everything. And so they're attacking the truth. But the science stands and shows who's lying and who's not.
Absolutely. True indeed.
So why argue with us?
Right.
Why don't they argue with the discipline? Saying, well, see, 2 and 2 ain't really 4. Because according to the melanin, it's 3.5.
Right.
Well, according to and this is what they've been getting away with because no one challenges them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then when they get presented with a contract, they got to hire 10 attorneys to look over it.
While they're talking about he's a devil.
Yeah,
they call him the devil, but they hire him. Yeah. If you really thought that, you know what I'm saying? And plus, hold on. Plus, if they're saved and nobody else got Jesus but them, they should be making their own sandwiches.
Well, praise God. Welcome back here. We're back at the dining table ready to make another meal, Brother Wayne. And this time we have a challenge called the Avocado Supreme.
Yes.
It's a sandwich, right?
Yes, a sandwich.
So make sure you take notes. Get ready for your little recipe today. As we end the broadcast with this good recipe, we have beet green leaves, carrot, and broccoli.
Your favorite.
And avocado.
Yes.
And he's going to make this.
On Ezekiel bread. Now, the last
Ezekiel 9:4-9. Now, this is the same type of recipe that's in the Bible, Ezekiel 4:9. It's called Ezekiel bread, right?
Yep.
And so this is God's recipe. So
something like that, right?
Real talk.
Stop.
Absolutely.
You know, ego and vanity is one of the terrible diseases that exist amongst our people.
It is.
It is.
Because when they're faced with truth and it doesn't fit their club or their leaders, they're more apt to protect their images and their leaders and to sacrifice the next generation. This is why the attacks are there.
Yeah, because you can see it. I'm on social media a lot, and man, the slander campaign is just crazy.
Right.
But I mean, even myself on social media, you're gonna get an adversary.
Right.
You know, the greater you are, the greater your opponent's gonna be. And so now you can tell how big RV Bay's got.
Yeah.
It's so heavy. It's so heavy with the slander campaigns going on. But you can tell, because as soon as they start talking, they're using all the wrong words. Talking about we United States citizens of America and all that. So you can already tell what it is. But I tell people, go to RV Bay and just stay there.
Stay there, man. These dudes is like clowns coming out the grill after, you know, a lot of work been put in. Yeah.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
And people coming out of nowhere trying to throw punches.
Yeah.
Because it shows not only their hypocrisy.
And so this is God's recipe. So
it shows many of them to be who they actually are, which you will see in Executive Order 11490, and that is agents for Central and Federal.
I can get it. Like 99 for about 35,000 a kilo, but I got to get more than one. Right. I mean, if we're going to do this thing, you're talking about some real. 10 kilograms is like 350,000. No, that's a drop in the bucket. We can go bigger. Every kilogram we bring in 3,500 here. So that's so if we bring in 10, you make 35,000. But that's a chicken pocket. He can. If he's going to do it, he'll do it much more. They can do it, 100 times over. Like the supply 100 times over.
Now, that video is reportedly from 1983, and after it aired, Al Sharpton threatened to sue HBO for millions of dollars. Here with reaction, our former mob boss, Michael Francis, and also with us, and former NYPD Detective Bo Dietl. Guys, good to see you. Thanks for being with us. I don't know what to... You were on the streets at that time.
Yeah, well, this is not a new revelation. It was all over the streets at that time. And people that I know from East Harlem, everybody knew he was an informant.
It shows many of them to be who they actually are, which you will see in Executive Order 11490, and that is agents for Central and Federal.
So this was out on the street right when I retired that he was an informant.
But did the Genovese family know? Because apparently those were the people that he was recording.
Well, there was a lot of involvement with the music industry at that time that Al was involved in, and then all of a sudden we used to pass through East Harlem and everyone knew it. We used to call him the Fat Rat.
Yeah. What do you make of that video with cocaine
Well, the video stands for itself right there. He was talking about buying kilos of coke with an undercover. So who was he representing?
Do you think that resulted in him becoming, that he was flipped as a result of that because they threatened to indict him?
The majority of the times that we develop informants is when you get them on a felony case and then you flip them and they become an informant. When he says he doesn't know that, he didn't know he was an informant, that's a lot of baloney. Al Sharpton knew what he was doing. He was cooperating with the FBI.
But don't they still usually go after you anyway? But
no, what you got to do is you got to keep working. And you keep working for them, you keep delivering stuff. I don't believe he's an informant any longer, but around that time into the 1990s, I'll guarantee you, when that whole Tijuana Brawley thing exploded, he was an informant at that time. When we did the Howard Beach case, I investigated the Howard Beach case. He was jumping ugly in front of my face, and I used to look at him. He says, why don't you go to your Italian friends in Ozone Park? I grew up in Ozone Park with the Scopos and with Johnny Gotti and all that, and he knew that, but I went the other way. I became a cop, and that's it.
Yeah.
It shows many of them to be who they actually are, which you will see in Executive Order 11490, and that is agents for Central and Federal.
Absolutely.
And that's documented. Tell them, why don't they talk about that?
Oh, yeah. On that note, what you think about this? Like 2 days before Obama left the Casablanca, the Secret Service settled a quote-unquote race-based case because they had what they're calling quote-unquote black agents in that Secret Service that were discriminated upon. That was their claim. Oh, shit.
I'm all right. I'm all right.
Oh, man. Damn.
Thank you. It was just my legs. I get the chip. I had chemo and radiation, and that's my legs.
Let's walk the mother out. Yeah.
I left my cane upstairs because I didn't feel like walking all the way back down. Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
You all right?
I'm good. Thank y'all.
Yeah, okay. Should we, yeah, so the sister's good. My fault, that was unique in its own way. So I'm pretty sure the brothers would take her down or whatnot. But, and I don't mind helping either.
We're going to get together and make sure she gets down.
I'm good.
Sorry,
I'm all right.
Thank you, sir.
If I wasn't,
We're going to make sure you're all right.
She don't have her cane now.
Ain't no way we going to watch you. Come on, Riri. Because we're going to have to go.
Yeah, my fault. So last thing, Setting Rod, good brother. He's not going to let the mother go down, for the record, for those who are watching, by herself. So she got security right there.
Yeah.
All right, so last question, and then we're going to go ahead. 2 days before Barack leaves, they settled a claim with the Secret Service. They had quote-unquote black agents working in there. They settled this claim for 24 million. Now the thing about it is, they made them wait 16 years. They was fighting this case 16 years.
The Secret Service has agreed to pay $24 million to settle a decades-old case in which African-American agents accused the agency of discrimination and a racist culture. On Tuesday, January 17th, the Secret Service agreed to settle the class action lawsuit after a 16-year legal battle, in which more than 100 former agents alleged that the Secret Service promoted white agents over more qualified black agents. 8 of the original plaintiffs in the case could receive as much as $300,000 under the terms of the settlement. As part of the deal, the agency admits to no wrongdoing or institutional bias. Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson, whose agency oversees the Secret Service, called the resolution, quote, simply the right thing to do. He also asserted that the agency has turned the corner and has proactively modified its policies concerning promotions in the years since the lawsuit was filed. For Newsbeat Social from Washington, D.C., I'm Caitlin Mangum.
Since 2000 to 2016, or the first month of January, Gregorian calendar, they settled this claim before Obama leaves. What do you think that's saying? And, hold on, the claim was based off of, they were using words referring to, quote unquote, this is what they said. I know we're not Negro, black, and colored, but black leaders of other countries were referred to as niggers, excuse my expression, And also them in the Secret Service were referred to as that, and they didn't get promoted after 180 requests. They wouldn't promote these people.
It looks like a decades-long lawsuit accusing the Secret Service of systematic race discrimination is finally coming to an end. The Washington Post reports the Secret Service has agreed to pay $24 million to settle the federal suit. It was filed in 2000 by a group of black agents who claimed their superiors fostered a racist work environment and ignored their complaints. According to court documents, the agents accused the Secret Service of routinely promoting white agents over more qualified black candidates, among other discriminatory practices. Over time, more than 100 agents joined in on the lawsuit. Under the settlement, the Secret Service could pay as much as $300,000 to each of the agents who originally filed the lawsuit. The settlement still needs court approval. The deal does not require the Secret Service to admit any wrongdoing or institutional bias, but the agency has agreed to change its promotion procedures, the complaint process for employees, and how it goes about keeping records.
What you think about that? All
you
that.
already know that status and estate are equals.
Yeah.
Corporal and incorporeal hereditaments. And they're under pressure, as we say. Look at the conversion that's taken place and was taking place on the platform of the international community with enforcement of decolonization.
So, and this brings me to my colonization story, because maybe by now you must have been thinking, when is she going to come up with the colony story? That is, if you're still listening, of course. But the thing is, the point I want to make today, I think, is that the mindset that made it possible that we had the colonial times like we know them is a type of mindset that is still very much alive and still very much present in our societies today. It's the mindset that makes types of discrimination and racism not only possible, but also acceptable to many people, but also invisible. Because if you're honest, isn't it logic that we exclude undocumented migrants from our labor market? We like to call them illegals. Or isn't it logic that we ban veiled women from the classroom or from these jobs? And also, isn't it a bit logical that the police searches a young Moroccan man more often than others just to make sure? And also, isn't it a bit logical that the police searches a young Moroccan man more often than others just to make sure? And also, isn't it a bit logical that the police searches a young Moroccan man more often than others just to make sure? I can imagine that your first reaction might be like, this is not racism, come on. And I would want to say that I don't think it's really important which label we give to this. There are examples, however we change this or however we look at it, there are examples of structural forms of discrimination against certain groups. And it's not just that there are forms of discrimination, it's forms of discrimination we feel like logical and we feel like acceptable in many cases. And I think I want to make a case for decolonization because it's something, in the past we were wrong about many of these things, and we might be wrong today as well. But I think I promised you a happy story, right? And I might have been slipping in the last minutes. So let me get back to the happy story, and that is the decolonization story. Because actually I think that decolonization is an opportunity. Because if the colonized mind is the mind that silences people and stories, then decolonization means desilencing, and it means digging deeper and going after stories. So in itself, it's actually a force or a source of creativity, like endless creativity. In itself, it's actually a force or a source of creativity, like endless creativity. And let me give you an example from my own professional life. Last June, I was in Frankfurt with some of my colleagues from other European universities. And we organized a conference called the Decolonization of the Social Sciences. So the logic is the same. We try to dig up stories in the social sciences that have been silenced for so many decades. And it's not an activity that you say, oh, we go in the library, dig in the books, and start reading stuff that we haven't read before. No. Decolonization of the social sciences in that sense meant that we have to bring in new people, because there are so many people around the world already doing stuff that we just have not access to.
Which should have been taking place in 1960.
Right.
So you're dealing with the Conference on Decolonization.
But to us, in Asia and Africa, who have experienced colonial domination in the past and are even now seeing the true picture of colonialism with grim consequences to the people under its yoke, this is a matter which should not be treated lightly and must not be allowed to be given the Cold War treatment in this debate. To us, it is something which is vital to the evolution of a new world order based on freedom, justice, and equality for all men, irrespective of their color or the region to which they belong. In our opinion, this is the kind of world order which is envisaged in the Charter of the United Nations itself.
So you're looking at Obama leaving and Trump coming in and understanding the pressure that's coming from the Manchurians, Russia, India, Brazil, and the mint nations, the true American nations who've been coming together, also joining the rest of the Asiatic nations of the earth to what? Dump their T-bonds that's been put on the Moors here under the Black Code since the Civil War, which has funded them.
Japan once again overtaking China as the biggest owner of American debt. The United States debt now well over $18 trillion. Combined, the two Pacific nations own more American debt than our own Federal Reserve, believe it or not. Japan currently holds $1.2 trillion in U.S. bonds. China just slightly less. Now, remember back in 2008, then candidate Barack Obama called his predecessor unpatriotic for borrowing way too much money.
The problem is that the way Bush has done it over the last 8 years is to take out a credit card from the Bank of China in the name of our children, driving up our national debt from $5 trillion for the first 42 presidents. Number 43 added $4 trillion by his lonesome.
Number 44 made it even worse. Stuart Varney, host of Varney and Company. Well, Stu, there's no lack of hypocrisy in Washington, D.C., is there?
Well, what Senator Obama called unpatriotic back then has become a necessity in 2015 because President Obama is overspending. And the overspending is getting worse, and we need to borrow the money that we are overspending. $439 billion worth of overspending in the last 6 months. A lot of that has to be borrowed. Where do we go to borrow it? We check in again with that Asian credit card.
Right.
Japan first, China second. Now, Greg, this has been going on for a long, long time.
Right.
The problem is that we pay interest on that debt. And literally billions of dollars a week are flowing out of America. They're going to China, they're going to Japan, all those dollars flowing away from America to service the debt, which is increasingly held by foreigners.
Well, let me ask you about, there's the debt clock, and I mean, it gets worse second by second. And the deficit is getting a whole lot worse, isn't it?
Yes, it is. President Obama has said that he has cut the deficit in half since his first year in office, and technically that is true. But it's misleading, because the debt, the overall debt, has grown vigorously from $10.6 trillion to $18.1 trillion right now, and this debt is going to get worse. By the time the president leaves office, at this pace, we will owe almost $21 trillion. That's almost an exact doubling of the debt in the 8 years of President Obama. And the interest paid on it, flowing largely to foreigners, or heavily to foreigners, that is a big problem.
Tens of billions flowing out of this country overseas.
In the last 6 months, we have paid out $160 billion in interest, and a chunk of that has gone overseas.
So take that in consideration, and I think it's kind of indirectly self-explanatory.
Indeed.
In other words, the game is up.
It's a wrap.
The jig is up.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Yeah.
Brother Taj, once more, thank you for pressing the lens on Mantis Views 29. Sister Cherie, this is like magic. Thank you for pressing the lens as well. And we'll be back on it soon.
Right.
Taj, for the record, we're gonna do a full one when we're not, leaving and passing out and post class.
Yeah.
We're gonna set it up where we go in.
All right.
So thank you, bro, for pressing the lens. Islam, peace. It's
Islam,
Sister
peace.
Cherie once more. All right. All right, peace and love. I'm here with the brother Abdullah Bey. We here at the Saturday class, and the brother finally has out the book Moors and Masonry. Brother Dooley, where can the people get it from, and what can they expect?
All right, well, book Moors and Masonry. You can go to my website, moorcivilletter.net, moorishcivil.net. Also, I have it. The books will also at Black and Nobel Bookstore. If you're at Philadelphia, Black and Nobel Bookstore on Broad and Erie, get it there as well. All right. Now, this book here, Moors and Masonry, deals with the extensive diplomatic relations between the Moroccan Empire and the European powers between the 15, 16, 1700s, during the same time period of the so-called transatlantic slave trade story. On the back cover, I have a picture of our people, Moors, holding Europeans in chains. Up here, Robert Davis, professor of Italian Renaissance history at Ohio State University, states the enslavement of Europeans doesn't fit the general theme of European world conquest and colonization that is central to the scholarship on the early modern era. So this knowledge has been suppressed to the general public because the Europeans do not want us to know, as well as the world to know, our naval military power during the 15, 16, 1700s. All right?
Gotcha. Islam. No doubt. Now we could look forward to an interview sooner or later too. Full one.
And as you see here, just real quickly, all right, I have written above these Europeans who are wearing the Moors and fezzes. Who are these imposters?
Right on.
I have here showing us, putting us back in our proper place. The Europeans traded places with us. So today, the United States occupying power is functioning the Moorish government in a trusteeship capacity.
Okay.
Right?
All right. Peace and love, dude.
Peace and love.
One.
So I just want to get you in. What? I'm rockets. Who says we ain't in the building? Who says we ain't into building? We the Moorish master masons, architects for your children, repping Friday 13th like Jason without the killing. But we promote life, it's all about the feeling. And we invoke light, yo, we them light beings.